Good afternoon. My name is Marla McGuinness, and I will be your moderator for today's Global Privacy Breach Media Availability. Joining us today are the Honourable Colton LeBlanc, Minister of Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions, and Natasha Clarke, Deputy Minister of Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions. Minister LeBlanc will kick us off with some opening remarks before we take questions. Go ahead, Minister.
Thank you very much, Marla. Good afternoon and welcome to our fourth media availability on the Move It Global Cybersecurity Breach. Thank you for participating today. It's been 12 days since we were first made aware of the Move It Global Cybersecurity vulnerability and 10 days since our first media availability. Since then, we've made significant progress in identifying groups and organizations impacted by this global cybersecurity breach. We feel confident that we have identified all of the groups of Nova Scotians who have had sensitive personal information stolen. The groups listed in the news release you've received before the news conference today include current teachers, administrative staff, finance staff at Regional Centres for Education and the Conseil Scolaire Acadien Provincial. It includes patients at the Early Labour and Assessment Unit at the IWK, and a very small number of students from Labour Skills and Immigration. To be clear, all of this is in addition to the groups of people announced in our news conferences last week: civil servants, staff at Nova Scotia Health, IWK, certified teachers, community services, clients, and incarcerated people. Our focus since we became aware of this vulnerability less than 2 weeks ago has been simple: contain the breach, identify the impacts, tell the public, and begin the notification process. In an environment where the information is constantly changing, we have worked to be as transparent as possible. I know many of you really want a total number of people impacted, and that number will be hard to confirm with the amount of duplication we're finding. We are most concerned about notifying people. We don't want to miss anyone, so that's where we're putting our time and our attention. The first notification letters will go out by the end of the week to one of the most vulnerable groups impacted, and we will continue to send them in the weeks and months to come. I've said it before and I'll say it again: no one can escape the risk of cybersecurity breaches, fraud, and identity theft in the digital age. This is the reason it's so important to have a Department of Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions. This is an ever-present threat for everyone. No one is immune. We need the expertise and the focus of this department, the focus that it has brought to these issues. This may be the first time the department has faced this issue, but make no mistake, it likely won't be the last. I hope that Nova Scotians are taking this very seriously. I hope they're watching closely, and urge everyone to watch their financial transactions, update their software and operating systems, and change their passwords. Install multi-factor authentication. It's important. Notification letters will be going out soon, but I want everyone to take the steps they need to keep their information safe. This is the last planned news conference on this issue, and we will still update the public regularly on our website, which is at the bottom of your news releases. We'll use news releases and social media where it's appropriate, but our focus is on the notification process and encouraging people to take advantage of the free credit and fraud monitoring services. This breach has come at a rough time for so many in our province. I know this has added worry and stress at a time when people didn't need it. But I want to take a moment to say how much I appreciate the work of the staff at the Departments of Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions, of Service Nova Scotia, and staff across government and our partners who have worked so hard to help us identify the extent of the breach and share information with the public. Everyone has worked hard with one focus: to make sure Nova Scotians are aware, informed, and protected in the wake of this breach. And that's what we'll continue to do. Now I'd be happy to take your questions.
Minister, as I understand it, the company that makes Move It has announced either yesterday or the day before that another vulnerability has been discovered with that system. Does that have further implications for us, or have we stopped using Move It altogether?
So we've took action, and that's been addressed.
What can you tell us about how you took action and how it was addressed?
Dick, do you want to?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So as we see with all the software that we use in our personal lives, like you're on your iPhone, you'll get asked to do updates. So what they identified was another update that we needed to make to the software. And as per best practice, we updated and applied those what's called patches. So it's updated software.
And you're not aware of that having any subsequent implications for?
No.
Okay. And just on the question of actually using this thing, are we still using it? Are we looking for an alternative option to this? What can you tell us about that?
So we are still using it. It is used by a number of critical government services. And so for us to transition away from software like that will be something that we need to be very intentional about. And so we did not want to impact a number of government critical services. We have applied the same patches that other jurisdictions that use this software have. We have no reason to believe that we have any additional vulnerabilities. We've added additional protections and monitoring as we've discussed at past briefings, and have taken those additional steps to ensure that we are on top of understanding what is happening with that piece of software to ensure that we can have continuity of services for Nova Scotians.
Minister, you said that the most, I guess, one of the most vulnerable groups will be alerted first through these letters. Which group is that?
That'd be DCS.
And refresh my memory, which community services clients were affected?
Yeah, there was a group, a cohort of individuals impacted who are DCS clients with information, if my memory is correct, including photos and their personal information.
Minister, last update you said that a number of the groups didn't have banking information still. Do we now have some sense of how many people did have banking information?
I haven't had a chance to do the tabulation of that, but what we've outlined in the press release is those who have personal information. And again, the focus of the investigation across government has been with the highest sensitive information. So that's how it's progressed all along.
Are you aware yet of anyone who's had their bank accounts breached because of this?
I have not heard anything, but again, what we've shared since day one is a message of vigilance for Nova Scotians, is to take the appropriate steps to, whether to be contact their bank or monitoring their financial transactions, their credit card transactions, changing their passwords, doing their software updates. I think that message there is as important today as it was prior to the breach, and certainly something we'll continue sharing with Nova Scotians. But again, I want to remind everyone that those who have been impacted will be notified, and part of that notification will include the free credit and fraud monitoring services.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Who gets to use the free credit and fraud monitoring services right now? Is anyone entitled to it at this moment?
Individuals can purchase that on their own, but we will be notifying those impacted through a letter, and information about that service will be included in the letters.
Right. So until those letters arrive, people don't have that free
Yes.
service.
Minister, you said all groups have been identified, is that correct? All people have been identified, is that accurate?
The vast majority, that's my understanding. Yeah.
And I guess how long do you expect the notification process to take then, starting this weekend? How long are we looking for that?
I'm expecting it to take many weeks. As noted before, there's many records. There's also the risk of duplication, but we're not going to let that get in our way, so Nova Scotians may receive more than one letter.
I'm sure you're expecting me to ask this question. You spoke with me yesterday, and I was asking about other organizations like Halifax Water that have been notified. Your release today mentions Halifax Water among organizations, but it doesn't say which other organizations have been alerted of breaches. Can you tell us now which other organizations have been alerted?
Yeah.
Can we take that?
Yeah, sure.
I'll take that. Great question. Thank you. So we've been working extensively with a number of different partners. I think somewhere of upwards of about 20 different partners. So that includes 11 provincial departments. And again, the website and the releases will name those specifics. Municipalities like HRM in Queens, Halifax Water, the Nova Scotia Pension Agency, Regional Centres for Education and CSAP, Elections Nova Scotia, IWK, and Nova Scotia Health.
And I'm sorry, just you're aware of breaches with all of those that involve the movement?
Right, so each of those organizations would have had files that would have been compromised as a part of this cybersecurity attack.
And they're all assessing it right now?
Right,
Other
so-
than Halifax Water, which has done that.
Right, so as part of our pressers that we've done, the press conferences over the last less than 2 weeks, we've been sharing that analysis in partnership with them. Halifax Water obviously felt really compelled to come out and share that information, which we are happy about. Like, they've been transparent with their clients. So that's what we've been doing over time. Not all the files have highly sensitive personal information, right? So we are working with them because they're the experts on the analysis of those files.
Of those organizations, have any of them, other than Halifax Water, alerted their customers yet?
I wouldn't be in a position to be able to speak to the specifics. We are going to orchestrate the centralized notification that we've talked about, those letters. I do know that our partners do have obligations to connect and have conversations with their stakeholders as part of some of their, authorities or needs to notify. But in terms of that formal notification, that will be something we will centrally manage, or we will work with our partners on making sure we're coordinated in our efforts on that.
Do you have an estimate at this time of how many individual files were involved in that list of organizations?
Not at this point in time.
When you do, will that be posted centrally, or do we have to go to each organization?
No, we would want to manage that information centrally, yes.
Minister, has the province determined if the stolen information might be leaked or made public? Have you confirmed that?
No.
I know you said that it's hard to determine the exact number because there's so much duplication. Is there any indication that it's higher than the 100,000, which was originally stated?
Yeah, so what I'll say, and I believe it's included in the press release today, is that there was 5,800 folders, and each of those folders had a number of files in them. So that clearly demonstrates the complexity of manually going through all those files. I think it's a significant amount of work done in less than 2 weeks. But again, records versus individuals, and how one person may be impacted in 3 different ways. Like I noted, I believe on Friday, if a teacher could also be a retired civil servant, could also have had a parking ticket, for example. So we're not going to let the barrier, or perhaps the challenge of getting 3 letters to an individual stop us from starting our notification process.
So it's 100,000 files or 100,000 people?
5,800 folders, but I don't have the number of files. But the 100,000 number was used early on. It was clearly communicated that number could change. But again, we're talking about records, and when it comes down to duplication, triplication, and how that factors into a number of Nova Scotians, we don't have that number. Right now, we're focused on notifying Nova Scotians.
So has the 100,000 number changed or not?
I haven't calculated that, but again, what we've communicated over the last 4 briefings, when we started communicating the breakdown of impacted departments and divisions and agencies, is a breakdown of those impacted individuals in addition. Yeah.
Ultimately, the issue of liability might arise if people suffer damages. Has the province done anything to try to ensure that it's this software provider, this company, that is going to be held liable for any damages, and not the public, not the government itself?
Yeah, I'd say right now our focus remains on the immediate. I mean, from day one, it was to contain the breach, identify the impacts, and start the notification process, all along providing information to Nova Scotians. So right now our main objective is the notification process, and we'll be moving forward on that.
Right, but that would be another department. That would be justice. You're not aware of anything going on.
Right now, I can only speak for the work that we're doing at the Department of Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions, and that's initiating this notification process this week.
Deputy, you said you haven't moved away from the system because of the significant disruption. Is that something that you've considered and just determined that it wouldn't work out? Is that something you're looking at moving forward? Can you kind of go into more detail on that?
I think that's a fairly typical practice for any digital or technology organization to look at its software estate, I guess, and make good decisions about what's the right solutions for the right requirements and the right needs. So that will be a part of any process that we would normally undertake on the go forward.
So you're looking at other options. Is that accurate? I can't.
As the minister said, our focus right now actually is on, the notification and the analysis and making sure Nova Scotians know what has been compromised as a part of this cyber attack.
Okay, there are no questions on the phone, so that concludes today's media availability. Thank you very much
Thank
for participating.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is today your birthday?
It is.
Happy birthday.
No cake, sorry guys.
Can we go home?